Hello all, my name is Dexter and I am one of the writers at The Conscious Path. The topic I'm going to be talking about today is toxic masculinity in the transmasculine community. So growing up as an AFAB individual that transitioned to male, I gained a fairly unique perspective on toxic masculinity and misogyny. I assumed that in the transmasculine community that trans men would be more accepting of themselves without problems with toxic masculinity. I was very wrong, unfortunately. Navigating certain transmasculine groups was like wading through a minefield of toxic bullshit and projection. Lots of talk about people being snowflakes or not manly enough or not being quote-unquote trans enough. I want to talk about first how I grew up a bit before going into that further. My main cis male examples of masculinity were my father, my stepfather, and my step-grandfather. Now, my grandfather was my whole world growing up. Due to my parents' divorce, I was often at my maternal grandparents' house. I remember many nights of dancing in the living room with him, my sister, and my cousins. He would just have the greatest time playing with us. He never seemed afraid of looking silly in front of us. My father, while just being with me and my sister, was pretty great as well. He would fix our hair every morning, and he was very affectionate and a caring man. Later on, our relationship would change due to his narrow views on how people should be. It seemed I was an embarrassment to him during my angsty teen years when I didn't, quote, conform to the norm. As I grew older, there became distinct expectations of me as an AFAB individual. I was told that I was too soft to join the Marines and that I was too sensitive to do things that were meant for men. I was told that men were stronger and more stoic and that women were ruled by their emotions. In a sense, men were breadwinners and women were the caregivers. My stepdad seemed to have very limited emotions. Sometimes he would have fun with us kids, laugh with us. But the main thing I remember was the anger. There was a lot of fighting that went on in the household. So much tension, verbal and physical abuse that it made me not trust people at all. I learned a lot on how men shouldn't be from him. While I observed all of this behavior from the men in my life, I learned what person I wanted to be when I grew up, and eventually, when I came to terms with me being a trans male, what type of man I wanted to be. Someone who is kind, compassionate, open, and masculine in all the right ways. Now, toxic masculinity seems to be a hot topic right now. Gillette made a very great commercial that went over a lot of people's heads. Toxic masculinity is masculinity that is detrimental to others. For instance, thinking a lack of emotion makes you a man, and if you show emotions, you're a sissy. This type of masculinity carries over into transmasculine individuals, and that's what my focus is going to be. Many transmasculine individuals like to project their insecurities on women, femmes, and non-binary folk. I see lots of trans men calling non-binary transmasculine individuals trans trenders. For example, I was talking about how I was leaning towards non-binary in a group one day. A binary trans man told me that I wasn't actually transgender, that I was just a woman that was sick of getting looked down on by society, so I was transitioning to avoid being the victim of misogyny. Frankly, that hurt a lot. I stayed in the group, firmly planting myself there to stick up for non-binary individuals. In turn, I personally gained a much thicker skin. I know for some people they're not going to be able to handle it, but like I said, for me personally, I gained a much thicker skin. I felt that it was my position as a man to tell these other men that this type of behavior isn't okay, that we can be better, and that as AFAB individuals, we should know better. There are too many instances where I see trans men telling other trans men to stop acting like women and that we'll never be seen as a man if we don't quote-unquote man up. So not only do we have cis men telling us we'll never be real men, but fellow trans men telling us the very same thing. I'm just here to say that no matter what, if you identify as a man, that you are a man. There are no set laws telling us how to be men. Men can be as masculine or as feminine as they want to be. Men can wear makeup and men can wear dresses. As a transmasculine AFAB individuals, we need to be supporting each other and not tearing each other down for not being manly enough according to today's fucked up views on how a man should be. Another personal example is when I was talking to another trans man about growing out my hair. I was told that in his opinion, I don't look right with long hair. Or not me, men don't look right with long hair. He stated that women don't look right with short hair either, that men were supposed to have short hair and women were supposed to have long hair. I asked him why he thought that. He replied with, that's how he was raised to think. This conversation left me dysphoric because I felt like I was somehow too feminine for wanting long hair. Now, this was also back when I had some very negative views on being feminine as a man, but I have worked through those. And I know that people's bullshit opinions of me don't matter, and I know that I am a man no matter how I look or what other people say. For many transmasculine or non-binary individuals, toxic masculinity cuts deep. They shouldn't be subjected to it when going into support groups. We get enough toxic bullshit from society just by being ourselves. Now, I'm going to wrap this up as it feels pretty lengthy and I don't want to seem preachy or like I'm rambling. This was mainly to shed some light on how toxic masculinity is prevalent in the transmasculine community to outside individuals such as trans feminine people and cis people. I'm open to talking in greater length about this particular topic, such as how to tackle this issue or how you have personally been affected by it. My email and social media sites will be made available to all of you listening, and I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to me talk, and I hope you look forward to future content from me and my fellow colleagues at The Conscious Path.